Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning. Thank you, Khazanah, for inviting me this morning. Board members of Khazanah, Deputy Minister YB Liu Chin Tong, all the other esteemed KMF speakers, distinguished guests, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. So very good morning and Salam Malaysia Madani. So I'm very pleased to be here today to participate in yet another Khazanah Megatrends Forum. If you look at the theme today, the theme this year initially reminded me of actually Netflix. And I asked Faisal just now, and when I read the subtext, orchestrating development bargain for sustainable growth, that is quite a mouthful. So I asked Faisal who came up with this. He said Dr. Nick. But anyway, I guess that's what happens when you leave it to your researchers and analysts to name a conference. But before I start, I would like to say that I'm heartened to note Professor Stefan's thoughts on the need for a renewed development bargain for Malaysia. In charting Malaysia's next development episode, it certainly needs to be one further defined by inclusivity as well as accountability. We know that we know what inclusivity is, so let's briefly discuss about accountability. So accountability is the acceptance of responsibility for one's own actions. So it implies willingness to be transparent, allowing others to observe and evaluate one's performance. But inclusivity and accountability are features of the new Industrial Master Plan 2030, which was just recently launched by our Prime Minister. So I have a few slides this morning, but before I delve into NIMP and economy Madani, let me start with the big picture. So first of all, I think many of you know this, manufacturing remains a key sector for Malaysia. It contributes around 24% of our GDP and growing at a rate of 6%. A major contributor to exports, actually make up nearly 80% of our total exports. And manufacturing has significantly propelled Malaysia's growth trajectory. It's also a major employment generator, employing around 70% of our total workforce and growing as well. So to put things into perspective, in 2010, the sector was valued at 192.5 billion ringgit, and then you fast forward to 2022, it's almost doubled, doubled to 364.5 billion ringgit. And if you look at export, from 489.6 billion ringgit in 2010, we've seen a threefold increase to 1.55 trillion ringgit in 2022. So while Malaysia's manufacturing sector has made some progress, we must be accountable and acknowledge some hard truths. The improvement in our economic complexity has been marginal. This hampers our journey forward towards achieving our high income status. And when you look at, in terms of economic complexity, Malaysia is not doing as well as advanced economies such as Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, and Singapore. Additionally, countries like Thailand are catching up, posing a challenge to Malaysia's competitive position in the region. Currently, Malaysia's involvement in the manufacturing value chain remains concentrated in relatively low value segments. For instance, in sectors like E&E and semiconductors, our focus lies more on assembly and testing rather than design. So this limits our ability to capture high value-added activities. Similarly, if you look at the palm oil industry, Malaysia primarily engages in crude palm oil production and actually missing out on the potential benefits of downstream processing, value addition, and high forex earnings. And the other thing is a concern, and we've been discussing this a lot in cabinet as well, is about labor productivity. So labor productivity is also a concern. Malaysia's labor productivity growth has declined, and this is actually behind countries like Singapore, Vietnam, Thailand, and Philippines. Right? Our reliance on low-skilled foreign workers has impeded the necessary upgrading of the manufacturing sector over a sustained period. So to reverse this trend, it is crucial to invest in technology and innovation, enabling the adoption of advanced manufacturing processes and techniques. Additionally, the insufficient availability of high-skilled jobs has resulted in graduate underemployment, highlighting the need to address the gap between industry requirements and the skill sets of our graduates. So the NIMP attempt to be inclusive, but we must first acknowledge the issues, the disparities in the manufacturing sectors across states in Malaysia, and development, of course, many of you here know this, concentrated in states like Selangor, Johor, Penang, and now Sarawak. And to bridge the wealth and knowledge gap, high-income generating activities need to be more evenly distributed across all states. And if you look at the SMEs, they hold significant untapped potential for growth in the manufacturing sector. Currently, 6% of MSMEs operate in manufacturing and contributing only 8% of the total GDP and 9% of total exports. And so we want to be inclusive. Empowering SMEs is crucial as they play an important role in revitalizing Malaysia's middle class in a post-pandemic scenario. So we are committed to creating opportunities for inclusive growth, both geographically across all states and also for SMEs. So by addressing these challenges and seizing opportunities, we can achieve broad-based development and can ensure a more inclusive sharing of our economic prosperity. So let's talk the next slide. So if we look at I think most of you have been discussing this, geopolitical factors, the shifting supply chains to ASEAN. The global FDI actually was down by 12%, but ASEAN bucked the trend. ASEAN, in terms of global FDI, actually went up 5% to $224 billion. All the other regions in the world, the other economic blocs, were actually negative in terms of FDI, and then attracting reshoring investments as US and European firms consider Southeast Asia for their supply chain strategies. On digitalization, I think I don't have to elaborate too much. And then on sustainability, I think there's a strong political will via the Madani economy framework to embrace sustainable practices and ESG. So we need to encourage SMEs to embrace ESG, to manage risk and secure their position in global supply chain, especially in the ESG-sensitive markets. So raising awareness on climate risks and the fact that prevention, of course, is better than cure. So if we look at what's happening today, many companies are already embracing this. In fact, yesterday, MITI launched our industry ESG framework. And then when you look at conversation, we need to direct the sustainability conversation towards new growth opportunities in green manufacturing, EV, we talk about CCUS, the carbon capture and utilization storage, and various other industries. So based on our conversations with investors, Malaysia remains an attractive investment destination and actually is primed to capitalize on these trends due to our unique value propositions. What our value proposition? We are the location that is strategic. We have an educated workforce and proficiency in the English language. We have a stability and a robust rule of law, abundant natural resources, et cetera, et cetera. And actually, if we look at comparatively with our neighbors, we have a well-developed physical and digital infrastructure as well, supporting businesses in their operations. So the NIMP that was launched recently actually takes a different approach. It adopts a mission approach to drive industry transformation and to realize our vision. Unlike the previous industrial transformations and industrial master plans, the NIMP will depart from a sectoral approach. Instead, it will focus on mission-oriented initiatives to achieve transformative outcomes. So several industrialized countries, actually, if we look at Japan, UK, Germany, have successfully implemented similar approaches in their industrial policy transformation. So this approach, I hope, will unite the nation, fostering collaboration to transform industries collectively. So the NIMP recognizes the importance on focusing on high-impact areas so that we can generate broader-based spillover effects. And the NIMP envisions that industrial development is not only one ministry's effort, in this case MITI, but needs to rally the whole of government need to rally the whole of the nation, both to government and industry in a way, to seize the opportunities. So with the mission-based approach, NIMP looks at mobilizing various forms of financing as well to support the industrial development beyond the traditional bank loans to include capital market financing. And ESG has taken prominence in the global market, and we need to get our industries ready for ESG-sensitive markets. Lastly, this NIMP actually has a very short window. We only have 7 years, so we need to make a more transformative and expeditious approach to achieve the goals. So the NIMP is set to accelerate industry transformation to achieve Malaysia's vision. We want to foster industries to embrace innovation and leverage cutting-edge technologies to produce more complex, more advanced products. We want to nurture complex industries as well to generate sophisticated, innovation-driven, knowledge-based job opportunities, and we hope this will include and lead to higher wages and income for the workforce. Cultivate strong SMEs and domestic supply chain ecosystems. We want to stay abreast of rapid global market developments and seize emerging trends. And to achieve this, we need to expand and deepen industry clusters such as semiconductor chips, EVs, AI, aerospace. And also we need to create new growth clusters such as CCUS and also the mineral downstreaming. And of course, foster balanced growth across all states in Malaysia, as I mentioned before, and prioritize ESG, environmental protection, and resilient buildings. So our industrialization process must be made both eco-friendly and capable of withstanding disruptions. So this slide, it's a bit busy, it's intentional. But building upon the mission-based approach, we have formulated 4 core missions that serve as the foundation of our industrial transformation strategy. First, of course, is advancing economic complexity. We want to encourage industry to innovate and produce more sophisticated products, and this will enhance the competitiveness of the nation in the global market. Second, we want to propel Malaysia towards becoming a digitally vibrant nation. So by embracing technology and digital transformation, we can drive innovation, enhance productivity, and of course, create new opportunities for economic growth. Third, we want to address climate change by striving a net zero future. And fourth, we want to ensure economic security and inclusivity. This also creates an enabling environment to ensure supply chain security. We want to support SMEs and promote equitable participation in the economic activities across all sectors and across all states. And to overcome systemic and institutional challenges, we also need to identify enablers, and we've identified 4 enablers that will address these critical areas. So the critical areas includes addressing financing challenges, nurturing talent development and acquisition, and also improving the investor journey, and also important is enhancing the governance mechanisms. So on the first mission, I'll just go through quickly some of the missions here. I don't have time to go through all. So on the first mission, which is an important one, we recognize the importance of enhancing our economic complexity. And we want to move towards a more advanced economic landscape. So this entails focusing on key criteria such as value-added specification, technology sophistication, and skills composition. Focus areas include IC design and wafer fabrication for E&E, specialty chemical, advanced materials, as well as aerospace, pharmaceutical, and medical devices. So developing more robust and integrated ecosystems for RDCI, for example, is crucial to promote economic complexity. So nurturing local innovations and accelerating commercialization will strengthen Malaysia's presence in both the global and, of course, the local as well, value chains, and thereafter the exports. So exploring collaborative opportunities with our ASEAN neighbors is also important in deepening capabilities and enhancing our participation in the global value chain. So in total, there's 5 strategies and 15 action plans have been formulated, supported by 4 mission-based projects. Some of the 4 is IC design, wafer fabrication, specialty chemical champion, and we have 4 local champions as well for advanced materials. On mission 2, I think it's no longer sufficient for us to just say we're going digital. Future growth hinges on organization ability to be digital, right? Embrace a digital mindset and fully embody digital capabilities across all aspects of their operations. So it's important for companies and the government. Now, we need to go beyond enhancing front-end customer experience. It extends to actually digitalizing back-end processes to improve operational efficiency. We want to streamline workflows and unlock the full potential of digital transformation. So upon this, we have the industry forward programs, and it will be further strengthened by our technology adoption program to accelerate digitalization efforts. So we've been talking about inclusivity. So in being inclusive, we also aim to foster innovation and nurture the development of local indigenous solutions, including startups, right? So we want to support homegrown talent and encouraging more disruptive ideas. Malaysia can transform from being a mere technology user and hopefully also become a tech creator. In total, there's 4 strategies, 8 action plans have been formulated, supported by 2 mission-based projects. So we actually launched the other day to transform 3,000 companies to become smart companies, and also establish Malaysia as a generative AI hub. So push number 3 is about push for net zero. We talk about inclusivity, and I mentioned in my speech about being accountable. So in being accountable, especially accountable to our children's sustainable future, we are committed, as a country, to achieve the net zero emission by as early as 2050. So the NIMP will also address factors in the manufacturing sector that contribute to climate change. So again, I just mentioned just now, our Deputy Minister actually launched the IASG framework yesterday, and our industries will be guided on adopting sustainable practice and making a just transition towards more environmental friendly and socially responsible operation. On mission 4, this is the final mission. We all know that the conversation today has shifted towards prioritizing economic security, particularly in the light of economic challenges posed by the pandemic and the trade tensions. So in being accountable to our manufacturing stakeholders, we need to set ourselves to build a resilient ecosystem that can withstand shock and disruptions, safeguarding our nation's stability and economic prosperity. So building a supply chain resilience is very important, and we need to further downstreaming our natural resources and minerals is also essential, and we need to make sure that we have a balanced regional development as a key priority, and of course finally ensuring inclusivity is a paramount. So it's essential to provide Bumiputras, SMEs, and the broader workforce with the capabilities and opportunities to participate in economic activities. So by adopting inclusivity principles, we can foster a more equitable and thriving economy. So to support all this implementation, we need enablers. So enablers, is important. We need to establish the necessary ecosystem and drive systemic and institutional reforms. We will mobilize various types of financing. The NIMP will also establish 2 new type of funds. We want to do the NIMP Strategic Co-Investment Fund and the NIMP Industrial Development Fund to provide additional financial support. And to meet industry demands, we want to also have further private-public collaboration to enhance the TVET and STEM programs, ensuring that the development of skills required by the industry. So the parts that are in blue and in bold in this slide show where we endeavor to be transparent and accountable. Next slide. So what's the target? So it's not just a plan, it's our commitment to high impact growth for Malaysia. So from day one, we have been transparent on the macroeconomic target set for the manufacturing sector. So this includes a 6.5% GDP growth annually from 2022, achieving 587.5 billion ringgit. This is, of course, for the manufacturing sector. This is actually a 61% increase. This growth is fueled by micro targets in sectors like chemical, E&E, EV, aerospace, and more. Employment is projected to grow at 2.3% from 2022, reaching 3.3 million persons by 2030. So the growth is attributed to high-skilled jobs, automation, and technological advancements. And then median salaries in the manufacturing sector are set to grow around 9.6% annually, reaching 4,510. For your information, today, is below 2,000 ringgit. So we know exactly how we derive these numbers. We are happy that these targets are now institutionalized so that the government and our agencies can be accountable for them, regardless of who is at the driver's seat. So again, next slide is on the outcome-based level, and it's our attempt of being transparent and accountable. The NIMP2030 will track the measures of 12 indicators, which are our goals. So this will form the new dashboard for us to evaluate future investment where absolute value is no longer the primary consideration, but what is key is the spillovers that the investment creates and how they are aligned with the country's goal and the NIMP goals. In essence, future investments will be meaningful if they can demonstrate how they can boost sophisticated export with high value added, establish Malaysia as the regional innovation hub. You want to create and sustain high-skilled jobs, ensure fair income, raise our SMEs to international levels of competitiveness, deepen our local supply chain integration, catalyze regional development across the nation, and contribute to the sustainability agenda. So by 2030, we're targeting significant growth in metrics such as gross expenditure on R&D to GDP, number of jobs created, manufacturing median wages, ESG index, etc. So this, I think I don't want to go through much on this slide, but as I've mentioned it before, we've been transparent about ensuring that no state is left behind in our industrialization journey, regardless of their political affiliation. This initiative promotes balanced growth, ensuring that every region benefits. On the next slide, this is about SMEs. I mentioned already about SMEs, and SMEs actually is not just a segment of our economy. I think they are actually our lifeblood. They represent the spirit of entrepreneurship, innovation, and resilience that drive Malaysia forward. So this is not just a strategy designed for the giants of the industry. It's also to uplift, empower, and propel SMEs to the forefront of our economic narrative. So next slide. This is just a governance structure. So of course, we want to ensure that it's not just a government initiative or a private sector aspiration. It's a collaborative vision where the synergy of both sectors is fundamental. So our approach is anchored in the belief that the most impactful result arise from a whole of nation approach. And spearheading this collaborative endeavor is also our Prime Minister, who provide leadership through the National NIMP 2030 Council. And just to highlight, we also have a delivery management unit to ensure that this is actually the operational heart of NIMP 2030, which is tasked to monitor, managing, and ensuring that every aspect of the plan is systematically executed. So some of the key takeaways of this one is of the presentation today. In summary, the NIMP 2030 is vastly different from all the previous IMP. We take a mission-based approach, and it's very focused. We have 62 action plans that will enable Malaysia to leapfrog into high value-added industries and expand the middle-class society. And we talked about the GDP, we talked about national industrialization across all states in Malaysia, we talked about SMEs, we talked about the governance structure that is led by Prime Minister himself. And the investment estimated value is about 94.6 billion ringgit for the next 7 years. And this will be funded by a variety of financing models. The NIMP can leverage on many incentives that are available, and some hopefully will be announced on 13th of October. So I've got the last two slides, which is also important. So I now wish to briefly touch on Malaysia's Madani economy narrative. Yeah, it's a framework that includes the raise the ceiling in terms of unlocking new enablers by coordinating national priorities in order to grow the wealth of the nation. So we are committed to ensure that we achieve a sustained economic growth of 6% annually. Right? At the same time, as you all know, we want to raise the floor, right, where social justice will be championed to ensure that the enlarged wealth is benefited equitably by the rakyat. So growing the middle-class society is a key focus. And the government of Malaysia is undertaking several reform measures, such as fiscal rationalization and institutional reform. However, investment is key to support these aspirations. Hence, it's critical to rejuvenate the investments in Malaysia to help achieve the 7 aspirational outcomes of the economy Madani narrative. to aim to strengthen Malaysia's economic position and foster inclusive growth. I want to mention here, actually Malaysian investment performance has declined from 40% of GDP in the pre-1998 levels now to only 20 to 25% to GDP. So Economy Madani also aspires to reposition Malaysia as the top 30 largest economy, as you know, and we want to improve our global competitiveness to top 12 and strengthening fiscal sustainability. So this contributes towards sustainable economic growth. Additionally, as you know, as announced by the Prime Minister, it also aspires to improve the Human Development Index, increase the labour share of income, and we want to promote inclusive growth. To succeed, we require an all-Malaysia approach. The rakyat, the government, the industries, all the stakeholders need to work together to embrace in a spirit of unity, practicing good governance and facilitated by an agile and collaborative public service delivery systems. So my last slide is this, to achieve our aspiration, we here at MITI are focusing on 6 engines of growth for which high-quality investments are required, and each of the engines have identified initiatives, and some examples are highlighted here on the slide. The first is reindustrialization, so that is the NIMP, where we outline our 4 key missions to transform Malaysia's industrialization, reversing the premature deindustrialization. Second is the transition to a greener Malaysia, so that, given the context of global transition, Malaysia must seize the opportunity to boost our industry's competitiveness. There are also fresh economic opportunities that will arise as a result of this transition. Third, Malaysia needs to drive digitalization at scale. The 4th engine of growth is to build a good life for our citizens. So for what do I mean by this? We want to have a world-class infrastructure and world-class public services, and we want to promote ESG practices to create good life for workers through greater adoption of ESG framework and standards by all companies, JLICs, SMEs, etc. 5th is to drive a job-led consumption growth. We'll need to the importance of the middle-class society. We need to emphasize on growing the middle-class society, producing more jobs that have higher income. And hopefully this will lead to spending capabilities that will boost consumption. Lastly, empowering regions is the 6th engine for growth, which I've mentioned many times here today. So this 6th engine of growth emphasize the investment focus and the pool investment opportunities all together. So consequently, targeting the high-quality investments that benefit Malaysians, contributing to social and economic stability in Malaysia and also in Southeast Asia. So thank you very much.